各位同学大家好，我们接下来要上的是影响反应速率的因素。我们之前已经有上过了本性、浓度、温度跟接触面积如何去影响这个反应速率。我们今天要来上一个比较特别一点，叫做催化剂。那催化剂是什么东西呢？催化剂我们一般来说，它在化学反应里面可改变反应速率，它可能让反应速率增加，也可能让反应速率减少，但不会改变这个整个化学的平衡。那我们催化剂是，我发生反应了，我加了催化剂，它可能会变快。好，那它变快之后，反应完了，它不会影响生成物，也不会影响反应物，它的生成物跟反应的物的量，它都不会改变。那催化剂本身的质量也都没有改变，所以催化剂不属于反应物，也不属于生成物。它其实它是利用它跟反应物先结合形成的一种叫做中间产物的东西那就等于说提供一个新的反应途径去改变这个反应速率。好，那这种东西我们称之为叫做催化剂。所以你想一想，催化剂有没有参与反应？有，但是它不是反应物，这个还蛮奇特的它有参与反应，它是让反应物变成了一个中间产物。好，那变成了中间产物再去反应，就提供了一条新的反应途径。那如果我们用简单的例子来说就是说，如果譬如说你从家里走到学校，有好几条路径可以走，你可以走 A 路径，可以走 B 路径。那催化剂就好像就是说，我提供你不同的路径，你不同路径去走，快慢是不是就不一样？那催化剂的功用就是把反应物引导到一条新的不同的路径去反应。OK， 所以简单来说，催化剂就是它可以改变反应速率，但不影响反应本来的性质那催化剂我们这里又称之为叫做触媒，生物体的催化剂称之为酶或酵素。这个在国一生物的时候你有学过嘛？对不对？就7年级生物的时候有学过。催化剂它有很高的专一性，就像生物体内的酵素一样，它就专门催化一些东西，譬如说你的唾液里面有唾液淀粉酶嘛，对不对？可以分解淀粉，然后胃里面有胃蛋白酶，可以分解蛋白质这些都有专一性的所以我们可以稍稍的了解一下什么叫做催化剂那催化剂它是怎么样影响反应速率呢？你看这里我们一般来说，我们说要发生反应速率，要达到足够的能量嘛。好，那你看像蓝色这里就是没有加催化剂的，所以它所需要的能量还蛮大的，对不对？所以它所需要的能量比较大，当然要发生有效碰撞的机会其实就相对的降低，因为它能量不够。好，那我们加了催化剂之后，它形成中间产物，使它反应所需要的能量降低了。所需要能量降低，就等于说它是一条新的反应途径，因为已经所需要的能量不同了嘛。好，提供一条新的反应途径来改变这个反应速率。OK， 因为你看很明显的红色这里所需要能量比较低，所以它的反应就会怎么样？比较快。OK， 那你就说老师，那这个东西跟谈恋爱有什么关系呢？有催化剂很像你看催化剂在生物体叫做酶嘛，对不对？工业上我们这里可以叫触酶，对不对？那这个触酶就很像一种职业，叫做什么？媒人。好，你看有人介绍这个男生跟女生有人介绍是不是比较容易有机会认识？跟你一男一女随机走在路上，说不定他们很有缘但是没有人介绍的话，没有催化，没有触媒，他要谈恋爱的机会是不是也相对的降低了？对不对？所以你说，有没有催化剂？是否真的跟谈恋爱，有那么一丝丝相似好，那我们 做影响反应速率的因素总结哈。第一个，我们本性不同，当然反应速率不同。浓度越大，反应速率越快；温度越高，反应速率越快；接触面积越大，反应速率也越快哦。那有催化剂可增加反应速率。OK， 所以老师这里有精选了一个影片，好，精选了一个影片后，老师这里放给你看。我们这里是否跟老师讲的有异曲同工之妙？顺便做一个复习。好，这影片是来自开路易第一课。
Meet our chemist, Harriet. She has a chemical reaction that needs to occur more quickly. Our chemist has some processes at her disposal that can help her speed up her reaction, and she knows of 5 ways. And to remember them, she thinks back to her days as a high school student, and the day she got a date for the dance. Harriet was in high school studying between classes. She had lost track of time and was going to be late to class. Unbeknownst to her, Harold, who was just around the corner, was running late too. They both sprinted to class, and as it happened, sprinted directly into one another. Now, this was no small collision. They ran squarely into one another in such a way that he knocked the books right out of her hand. "I'm sorry," he said. "Let me help you with your books." He kindly helped her recollect her belongings and politely offered to walk her to class. And you'll never guess who went together to the dance later that year. Yep, those two. So as we can see from this example, the key to getting a date for the dance is to collide with someone and knock the books out of their hands. Now you're probably already aware that not all collisions lead to dates for the dance, thankfully. The collisions must have 2 important characteristics. 1, correct orientation that allows books to be knocked from one's hands, and 2, enough energy to knock the books out. Shortly after this incident, Harriet decided to tell me, her chemistry teacher, all about it. I noticed some interesting parallels between her story and chemical reaction rates, which happened to be what she was studying in the hallway the day of the collision. Together, we decided to set out on 2 missions. Harriet wanted to help all chemistry students and chemists remember how to speed up the rate of chemical reactions, and I, being the nice guy that I am, decided to make it my mission to help create educational environments in which more book-dropping collisions can take place to increase future chemists' chances of getting a date for the dance. In order to facilitate this improved dance date-getting process, I proposed 5 changes to all schools that parallel Harriet's 5 ways to increase chemical reaction rates. First, I proposed that we shrink the size of the hallways. This will make it more difficult to safely navigate the hallways and will cause more collisions than in larger hallways. And by increasing the number of collisions, we increase the likelihood that some of those collisions will have the correct alignment and enough energy to create a date to the dance. Now, chemically speaking, this is equivalent to lowering the volume of a reaction vessel or a reaction mixture. In doing so, the individual particles are closer together and more collisions will occur. More collisions means a greater likelihood that collisions with the appropriate energy and configuration will happen. Second, I propose increasing the overall population of the school. More students equals more collisions. By increasing the number of particles available for collision, we create an environment where more collisions can take place. Third, we must reduce the time allowed between classes. Heck, let's just cut it in half. In doing so, students will need to move more quickly to get from one class to the next. This increase in velocity will help make sure collisions have the appropriate amount of energy necessary to ensure book dropping. This is analogous to increasing the temperature of the reaction mixture. Higher temperature means particles are moving faster. Faster moving particles means more energy and a greater likelihood of reaction causing collision. Fourth, students must stop traveling in packs. By traveling in packs, those students on the outside of the pack insulate those in the middle from undergoing any collisions. By splitting up, each student has more area exposed that is available for a collision from a passing student. When particles travel in packs, the surface area is very small, and only the outside particles can collide. However, by breaking up the clumps into individual particles, the total surface area is increased, and each particle has an exposed surface that can react. Fifth, and finally, we hire a matchmaker. Is this colliding and book dropping too violent? Is there an easier way to get a date that requires less initial energy? Then a matchmaker will help with this. The matchmaker makes it easier for a couple to get together by coordinating the match. Our matchmaker is like a catalyst. Chemical catalysts function by lowering the activation energy. In other words, by lowering the energy required to start a reaction. They do this by bringing 2 particles together and orienting them correctly in space so that the 2 can meet at the correct configuration and allow a reaction to take place. So to sum up, if a future chemist wants a date for the dance, he must collide with another person and knock the books out of their hands. And if a chemist wants to make a chemical reaction occur, the particles must collide in the correct orientation with an appropriate amount of energy. And both of these processes can be accelerated using the 5 methods I've described.
好，大家看完这个影片之后，是否就更了解了反应速率跟影响反应速率的因素了，以及我们的碰撞学说？好，谢谢大家。